Hello and welcome back to those that have rejoined. Thank you for returning for the final session of day one of the inaugural user conference. We hope you've enjoyed the session so far. We've had quite a lot of content. And we now move to a session titled bSDD Workshop. We have a few speakers here today. I think first of all, we're going to be hearing from Andrea, who will be presenting some use cases on the bSDD. So over to you, Andrea.
Michelangelo will start, and after me.
Okay. Sorry, Michelangelo and then Andrea. Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Michelangelo from Akka, and today I would like to introduce you about the topic of the bSDD. Try to get a quick overview of of this service from buildingSMART, and then we will see an example of how to use this. I think I will just share some slide just to introduce the topic, but I think this has been discussed many times already. So I will try to give you an overview from the perspective of end users, let's say. As how this can benefit the end users, and how you can actually use this service from buildingSMART into your OpenBeam data workflows. So let's introduce the topic of the bSDD. Let's see what it is. It is actually an online service and hosts basically classifications and related properties with allowed values, units, and translations. So basically, the bSDD is where you would like to store national classification systems. There are some examples like Uniclass, Mind, and so on. But also application-specific standards like ATIM, universal types, the new entities from IFC airport, and so on. But also national and company-specific standards. And that's because more often than not, when you are doing a BIM project, there are such kind of standards that are, maybe internal standards that are used across inside the company or across different companies. And you would like to have a standardized workflow where each party that is doing, let's say, the modeling phase, which is deploying, which is doing the modeling, is able to use such standard in a simple way, and in a way where the data quality that results from using such standards is then really high. So technically speaking, in order to actually use the buildingSMART data dictionary, but buildingSMART deployed a set of APIs that anyone can integrate in their system and in their specific tools. Some examples of what you can find in the buildingSMART data dictionary. We can see some codes, basically, and basically this buildingSMART data dictionary is divided in domains where these dictionaries and the classifications are stored. Such codes may or may not create a hierarchy, so there may be relationship between classifications and codes of the same container, let's say, but also you can have connection with other containers as well. That is, your standard can be connected to other standards as well. And each one of these codes of this classification has, first of all, its own description. So it is detailed, has dedicated informations, but also the bSDD data dictionary provides services such as translations and synonyms. So these are maybe more for the more advanced users, but still is possibilities that the buildingSMART data dictionary offers. Each one of the codes that we have seen before, each one of the classification may have related properties, and properties are the information that we want to attach to objects that are classified according the specific classification. So in this example, we have the classification code for a photovoltaics module, and such photovoltaics module are characterized by a number of properties that we can also see here. For example, we have the cell material, which is a property that can also have constraint. So for example, this particular property, its value is restricted among 4 choices. And so if you think about when we talk about guaranteeing the quality of the data, we are talking also about this, like the fact that the bSDD can help the end user in choosing the correct values, proposing the allowed values, but also, for example, checking about the data types. So if, for example, this is another property and its type is a number, then tools that use the bSDD can easily suggest not make any kind of such errors from the end users that are filling up the values for the properties. Also, we have the units of measures that can be specified for each single property. And so all of this, why one should use the bSDD? We said that to guarantee the quality of the model, of the IFC model, and in fact the bSDD is very convenient, is one of the best way to enrich such IFC models with semantic informations. We have seen that bSDD gives you the information and gives you the possibility to choose the correct classification, properties, and values in a easy manner. And of course, if you are publishing your standards on the bSDD, then you can immediately reach a global audience. So it's not only about the end user that consumes the data in the bSDD, but it's also about who provides content for the bSDD as well. And so, of course, when there are updates, they are instantly distributed, and there is also the possibility to create a link with other standards as well. As we said, we would like to, with open standards, to have the possibility to choose among different software tools that are distributed by different software vendors. So we are using open standards because we don't want to be locked into particular solutions. And the bSDD is a strong strong piece about this, because it really is something that is independent, that anyone can have access to, and so really it is possible to use any tool that is connected with the bSDD and enrich or use it to create your models. There is less possibility to commit errors, so everything is more or less automatically checked from the bSDD itself, and one thing that we see more and more is that there are these very long Excel spreadsheet that contains requirements or any other kind of data that then has to be keep synchronized and used in the models. This is not anymore the case as long as everything is published on the bSDD. Hopefully, this will bring for an easier life for BIM users that will find workflows that allows to work them in an easier way, in a faster way, but also in a better way. Because as we said in the beginning, at the end, one of the major points is about to have a workflow, a standardized workflow for having high quality OpenBIM data. And the bSDD itself is aimed at different kind of users. From one side, let's say we have BIM managers that use the bSDD, for example, to define the information needed and to check the BIM data for validity. And let's say that these are more like the producers of the data, the content of the bSDD, and this is really fundamental, because if someone is asking you to use the bSDD to classify a model, to use it to be part of your OpenBIM workflow, it means that probably there is an important request behind, because it means that the BIM managers or someone is thinking about a strategy about how they want to receive OpenBIM data. So it may seem that it is something that seems like an effort, but it is actually not, because really the outcome is that the quality of the data that your models will contain will be very, very high, and the use that then in the various workflow that you will make of this data will be much better, because it is provided in a standard way. So it is very important for the BIM managers to populate the bSDD, and we will see after an example from Andrea on how to put content on the bSDD. On the other hand, we have BIM modelers. BIM modelers are the end users that possibly use their BIM motorings or BIM tools that are compliant with the bSDD, that have a connection with the bSDD in order to be part of their modeling flow. It depends on how such plugins, such connection is established, so it may be different from different tools. But basically, the flow, at least the flow that is most commonly implemented for now, is quite simple, and is about classifying your object, your model objects, and with the use of the bSDD, and apply values to the properties as needed, as suggested from the bSDD. And so this kind of enrichment of the model is kind of the most common workflow. It's not the only one. In fact, advanced users may use content from the bSDD to do check compliance, to find in an automatic way manufacturers' products, but also to extend IFC, and last but not least, to have the possibility to connect such service of the bSDD with other buildingSMART standards. That is, for example, the IDS to create the information delivery specifications. These are a bit more advanced flows, maybe. So we will focus and see an example on the common case where you have a model, and where basically you want to classify objects and add such information using the bSDD. We are going to see an example. Just a small introduction is about how at ACCA we consider the IFC format, because it is commonly most still think that the IFC is you know, as a static file, a static snapshot in time of the built asset, and so is something that is mostly useful for example, for the handover. But in fact, we think it is not only that, it is much more than that, and it should be much more than that. And in fact, we think it is something that users should be able to work on. So it is something that should evolve over time to reflect changes about the asset, and is something that tools can work on. So in order to have a flow of OpenBIM data, your IFC model may go through different BIM tools, and every one of these BIM tools may be also able to edit it in order to create this flow that starts from one actor, but then moves to other people that are specialized maybe in different in different disciplines, and so maybe the same model can be enriched in different way and from different perspectives. That said, the example is about taking an IFC model produced by any authoring software, and then start enriching it with the content of the bSDD. So let's see this in action, and we will see this application, which is called ASBIM bSDD, which is part of the ASBIM family, which is our CDE, our common data environment. So everything will be online. And basically, this is the common data environment where you have your workspace and you have your IFC model. So maybe this is done from a modeler that uses its authoring software, but then you are a different actor and you are asked to classify such models, such model with the content that you can find on the bSDD. So on the right, we can see the application and the list of the domains. There are domains for many different things, for materials, for bridges, like the one that we have chosen for this example. And here on the right, we can see the codes that we were talking about. So the possibility to search into the buildingSMART data dictionary basically allows you to find the codes of interest, and then you can start classifying those objects. So you will take the objects from the model and you will assign such classification. As we said, each classification has its own properties, and here you can see that the user is also filling the values for such properties. Of course, everything is checked, so you cannot put string into numbers. You may have check list boxes and so on. Then the tool may have different kind of features to help you, for example, highlight what you have already classified of the model, to have a quick look at what you have already classified and with which code, but also will help you to see what you have not yet classified. And when you have finished with this flow, which can be also automatized, then you can download the enriched IFC model, and you can open it, for example, in any other viewer, and check about the information that you have just added. So in this example, when we select one of the objects that we have classified, we see the properties that we have just added and the classification and the link back to the bSDD. Just a final talk about the fact that we show that we open the model in a viewer. It seems like it is the end of the story because, okay, in the end, I've just opened it into a viewer to check about the added information. But in fact, as I said before, if someone is requiring you to classify such models in using the bSDD, is probably because this is part of a workflow, an open data workflow. So it will be not end of the story when you have such enriched model, but probably there will be some checking after, and maybe the information that you have added are used for something else. And so the chain continues with different actors that are using the IFC models to continue in their workflow. Now, if you are wondering how it is possible to add information to the bSDD, then I would hand over to Andrea that will show us an example of that also.
Thank you, Michelangelo. Now I will show you my part of the story. The idea is just to create a tool in order to edit the bSDD data dictionary. So we are creating this new tool called Asbin bSDD editor. That is a new way to edit easily and quickly a buildingSMART data dictionary in order to populate the BSI online services, and then so use the Asbin bSDD. Let's start in this way. Let's just create a new bSDD document on our platform very easily, and then the software Asbin bSDD editor will start. Here we are going to name the domain, add all the general data, and all the field required by the bSDD JSON is ready, is there. We have a link to the bSDD official documentation for more info when you need to have a closer look at some information, like this way. You can check, and then you can go back and fill the fields. License URL, quality assurance, all the information required by the bSDD JSON. And then we start to add the classification. So start to add the new classification, code, name, status, and several dates. The data is easy and quick entered by using a combo box or specific edit controls, like for date or for numbers or for string also. We use mask to facilitate the data entering. Then we have synonyms, country data, relation with other classification, and all these fields that are required. We can add properties, specific properties. In this case, we are going to add an external properties. And so say it's external, and add the link, the URL, the property set. So as you see, it's very easy to use and straightforward. You can add constraints, allow the values. And so you can create for each classification all the properties you need. Then you can add more classification. And in a very easy way, all the classification is created. That's it. We can add more properties. We can add also materials. So in this case, we are going to use and create an external property that we can use in several classes. All the information, revision number, language code, constraints, allowed value, relationship with other, eventually with other properties, data type, units. So very easily you can create your own bSDD file. Then you can consolidate on HASBIM, download it, and upload to the bSDD online services, this one. After you uploaded it on this web service, you can use it with HASBIM bSDD as you see before with Michelangelo. So this tool will be available soon, will be available for free. So everyone registered with our platform can use it and to create this file. So I hope that this will be very helpful for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, and Michelangelo as well, of course. As always, a very nice introduction about the tool sets and the relation with the buildingSMART services. So this session, we're halfway now, is a bit of a we envisioned a bit of a dynamic session. We have another presentation up our sleeve from Jan Brouwer, but that doesn't take half an hour. So I actually wanted to pause here and ask maybe some of the participants if they have some questions or comments. I think the presentation was very clear, but I'm also quite deep in this topic already. As long as no one's putting anything in the chat, I'll try to fill up the space a bit. I think it's what we already saw in the beginning in the presentation. Oh, there's a question. I think what I want to mention is that since this is the user conference, normally we would obviously during the summit highlight the fact that this is a neutral platform, completely software independent, and we have a lot of these stories about open BIM versus closed BIM. But I think from a user perspective, where we really try to explain what the services mean for end users. I want to highlight what Michelangelo said in the beginning, that this is just a very, very effective way of dealing with your information management. Is always a standardized workflow, whatever kind of classification system you use. You really have a higher guarantee of information consistency. So this is all about making money, just making your life easier, making it more predictable, making it eventually even more sustainable. So those values, I think, are. It's good to mention those again at a user conference, that for end users, this is just also very handy and very useful, and can make your work a lot more effective as well. So just want to mention that. I see that Giancarlo has a question on interested in deepening how to build an IDS from bSDD. Oh, that is a very interesting question. Indeed, there is a strong relation between the information delivery specification standard and the bSDD. Both of them have similar data structures, so both of them deal with classes, objects. Those have properties. Those have property set names. We have materials, and in IDS we also have specifically attributes because it's focused on IFC. Also, the restrictions that you can put on the data in the bSDD is similar to the restrictions you can put on IDS. So these two developments indeed go hand in hand. I don't have anything available at the moment to show you the relation between the two in more detail, but I'm happy to follow up. If you email me, leon.vanberlo@buildingsmart.org or bSDD support@buildingsmart.org, I'm happy to follow up on that. We're also developing more content on how to explain that relation and how you can build an IDS from bSDD. Yeah, I'll share the email in a minute. So I see Tony is here. Hi, Tony. Good to see you again. Hope it's not too early for you. Are there online training courses available on this topic? Unfortunately, at the moment, not. So, as Aidan already explained this morning in his session as well, the strategy for Building Smart International and also for the chapters this year is really to start focusing more on end users, help them more. We are working on these user guides, workflows. So extending the professional certification program and writing more and more documentation on this is obviously an important topic. The whole reason why we have this user conference is really to get these technologies and these services closer to end users and demonstrate what they can mean for you. We're definitely working on that. All right, so if I don't see any additional questions in the chat at the moment, and I don't want to talk too much. Like I said, we also have a presentation from Jan Brouwer up our sleeves. I think people who have been following bSDD developments have been seeing a presentation from Jan earlier. He made one of the first SketchUp plugins on how to use bSDD domains and data to enrich your SketchUp model. But I think that has been evolving, not just to use any kind of domain, but Volker-Wessels or Digibase. I'm not actually sure who you're representing now, Jan. are also looking at putting in their own content, their own company standards to be able to share that with other partners and to be able to help their own employees to improve information consistency. And yeah, the screenshots and the snippets that I saw from that development looked really, really cool. So I think it's maybe good to also ask Jan to share the screen and just tell us a bit more on that. This is a little bit ad hoc. It's not a perfectly fine-tuned PowerPoint presentation, but I think that fits the topic as well. Jan, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, from my side, also no PowerPoint, just a little demo of what we're currently working on at Digibase. But let's see if I can share my screen. We've been working on some product templates. Can you see the screen, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. For example, we created a door object where our manufacturer needs some specific properties to be able to produce a door. So we added all those properties to a door object, and there are also some classification links to NLSFB, our main classification system. And in this one, there's not a material, and this one is not a demo, and where we linked, you can see all the things here. Maybe I can better switch to SketchUp. I have this little demo model. All right. We'll select two floor objects, and then you see it's pretty limited in the data that's available. There's no load bearing, for example. And then when I start this search tool, we'll try the sample floor I just showed. And here you can see that it's linked to a couple of different classification systems. For example, this is the material, concrete in Dutch, and the NLSFB system. That's the grouping system that we use in the Netherlands. And then, as an example, I made this load bearing is fixed for this this floor, and I can add a fire rating, for example, and maybe also set it to part of the compartmentation. And then when I press apply, it will download all the classification systems that are linked here. So they are all available in SketchUp now as a native list that you can use, but they're also linked to this object. And you should be able to see, the load bearing is true. The fire rating is 30 minutes. And then when I export it, we should also have these things available. We mostly use Trimble Connect, but maybe because people know Solibri best, we'll open it here. Oh, and maybe an important part is also that it adds the material. At first, all the floors were green with an automatic material, and now it's the material for concrete. And it's also an interesting thing. And you also see it in Solibri. There's a classification for all these linked systems, and fire rating is 30 minutes. Yeah, that's about it for the demo, I think.
Thanks, Jan. Can you also explain a bit more on why you're doing this? What's the big picture idea that you're trying to reach?
Yeah, it's the most important part is like people at ACA already explained. We want to be able to enrich our models, and yeah. So when we have to classify with the systems that we use, and be able to do that really quickly, and we use these product templates to combine all the different properties that we need from a certain object, and be able to apply that consistently, quickly to a lot of different objects. Yeah, and the main thing, the SketchUp plugin is mostly an experimentation at this point. But the main thing is also on our CD, on Trimble Connect, that we want all these properties to easily extend the IFC model with the things we need from it.
Yeah. But by the way, when there's any questions or comments for the demo from Jan, just put them in the chat again. Like I said, we're trying to make this as interactive as possible. I'll try to fill the time again with talking until you guys ask questions. Because I think this is this demo from Jan is also related to a question we had earlier on the relation between IDS and bSDD. So both of them have the same structure. You have the same components you see in there. So the company from Jan could define their information requirements in an IDS and then kind of send that to a partner and say, this is how I want it. But inside IDS, you can also refer to those Orca-Wessels or Digibase specific properties. And when you have the same information requirements kind of returning when they're common requirements and not very project or project phase specific, and having this live publication of those requirements inside the bSDD, having them available, having the kind of out-of-the-box validation tool of the bSDD, just makes it a very efficient workflow and an efficient set of services. But what I really like about this demo from Jan is that it's one of the first kind of internal internal data structures, internal data standards that combines existing classification systems, existing standardized properties from other standards, and even existing material enumerations, material lists, and combines those three together with IFC into a set where they say, this is how we want our information structured and delivered and consistently put through our OpenBIM workflow. And that's, I think, is one of the first examples that shows the potential of the combination between IFC and bSDD to really make sure that this information consistency internally is structured. And this is also, and again, this is a user conference and not one of those presentations where we preach OpenBIM versus closed BIM. I think when you look at this use case that Jan just presented, you can even do this when you completely work in Autodesk products, where you completely work with BIM 360 and Revit. Still, you want to have some kind of a information requirement. You want to publish that. You want to be able to check on information consistency. So this is a perfect workflow to extend IFC, but you could, in theory, also even use it in a closed BIM environment. That's how much we want to focus on helping people with their workflows. And of course, OpenBIM workflows, I think everyone understands that in the long term, they are much more sustainable, they're much better. It really provides users the ability to control their own destiny, to control their own digital future. But even on the short term, if you want to use this in Revit, or if you have to use this because your employer says so, even in those cases, bSDD can really provide extra efficiency.
For us, it's also a combination of the two, that we try to get as much data organized at the front in Revit or in SketchUp, for example, here. Then the next step will really be validated using the IDS and try to extend it with all the missing parameters.
And you're currently on track to publish kind of your internal standards as something that's publicly available, right?
Yeah, we're still debating in what things we would like to publish publicly, and what things we only would do on our CDE, on our internal side. But it's really important to have all these templates. For example, the door that I showed, that's something the factory needs from all its clients. So it's only logical to publish that, so everyone can deliver using the right plugins for modeling software, and that anyone can deliver the right data.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I was asking you the question is because it also gives me a bridge to tell everyone on the call that we are currently also experimenting with what we call private domains. So there are obviously commercial standards available that you can only use when you buy a license. We are also working on trying to facilitate publication of those standards in the bSDD. And of course, there's also a lot of non-commercial but more private internal data standards that companies want to use and only for their own employees. And currently, we're also looking at how we can facilitate that with the bSDD. So for the technical people on the call, there's an API manager between the database and the public API, so we can configure that for specific data to make sure that not everyone has public access to that, but only people that work for a certain company with a certain email address, those kind of things. And there's quite some interest in that. And I think the reason why there's interest in that is because those kind of private internal data structures always need to work hand in hand again with the publicly available one. So if you have one standard workflow through the bSDD where you can with the same process, with the same workflow, choose either the publicly available classification systems or the private one from your internal organization. Having that in the same ecosystem, again, makes it very effective to control your data. I see there's not a lot of chat going on, and we're actually losing people, so I'll try to talk less to keep everyone on board. We still have 10 minutes to go. I also noticed Eric is on the call and Frederick, a couple of long-term fans and developers of the bSDD. Does any one of you want to contribute to the discussion?
I think we can wrap up then, Leon, if there's
yeah. I was just looking at a call at a chat from Frederick that he's happy that things are moving on. Yeah, that's we're all happy about that. And just to tease him a little bit, we are also happy to see the co-builder link to the bSDD as soon as possible, because obviously that would be very helpful as well. I am since you're on mute and you can't unmute yourself, I would say we are absolutely looking forward to the time when this would be published, and I'm sure it will be very soon. Yeah, and Eric, our developer, nice presentations, good progress. Thank you for the excellent work from Tony. I'm actually interested, Tony, to see how you are using this. Happy to invite you for the next user conference presentation where you can share your work. So putting a little bit of pressure on your work in this case, but really looking forward. I know you're always doing projects on the bleeding edge of innovation, so I think bSDD would be very helpful for your projects as well. So this is an open invite to everyone, but specifically to you for putting the pressure on you to deliver a presentation on the next sessions. Thank you. Yeah, so just wrapping up before Aidan takes over. I do hope that we're trying to present bSDD in different ways. Like I said, there's this there's a more policy part to it, where this is a neutral open system, all based on ISO standards, but there's also usability parts to it, where you can just make money by using this system, improving your information consistency, which is along the way in your process, one of the biggest challenges that we have as an industry at the moment. So if there's anything you want from us, I know we still need to develop some user guides and some tutorials, but if you can't wait, just please use the bSDD support email address. We're happy to help ad hoc. There's a couple of people receiving those questions, so you should be getting some replies as soon as possible as well. For us, this is really one of the backbones for the technical services development. As you already saw, the IDS is closely linked to it. Also, the use case management service has a strong relation that we are now integrating the bSDD into that. So for us, bSDD is strategically very important as the information facility backbone of the whole ecosystem. So the more people that use it in an early phase, the better it would get for everyone as well.
Great, a good session. Thank you. We appreciate all the contributions, I think. Thanks to the audience, and thanks Andrea, Jan, and Michelangelo again, and we look forward to future sessions. A good first day. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye all.